Hello, welcome once again to our station TTIGA, thinking through issues in Ghana and Africa. I have Prempeh once again. We have Prempeh here because he is an expert in the field or in a discussion that we're going to have today. That is science and religion. Science and religion. The good thing is Prempeh happens to be a PhD candidate in divinity, which is religion actually. Looks more into religion at the University of Cambridge. So he's the perfect resource person for us. And thank him for coming. Prempeh.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy to be here once again. It's always a delight to share not expert, not informed, but considered opinion.
Awesome.
If I should put it that way.
Yeah, you know, one thing I see also fascinating is that today you are in a coat, like a suit jacket.
This is something that is unusual of me.
No.
But I must look apostolic. Apostolic mantle.
Okay, I'll buy that.
Apostolic mantle.
You look good in the
because I'm going to talk about faith and religion. So yes, I need to appear that.
And you look a bit that's all right.
I know people will be surprised that hey, what's happening to Prempeh?
Anyway, let's just go straight into our topic for today. Okay. So science and religion. Prempeh, do you think religion and science are compatible at all? Like religion and science?
Yeah, I think this question is based on a false premise. On the false premise in the sense that it assumes we can decouple what people believe from what they do. Right? So what they believe is a realm of ideas. So that's where religion is located. And what they do is where the belief is translated into practice. So that's where we locate science, right? But to attempt to create a demarcation between the point of belief and the point of practice is superficial, right? It is not real. Because in the real sense of the word, there is always intertwined the relationship between what we believe and what we do. And in most cases, what we believe informs what we do. So, people say theory and praxis. Okay, so the two are such that they influence and they are in a symbiotic kind of relationship. So, from that point of view, if you say science and religion, we look at science as empirical. You see, empirically based, and religion is based on belief systems. But as I said, what people believe is actually, what they do is informed by what they believe. So for example, my background in African studies, exposes me to a lot of African history and African social ordering. So if you look at, for example, the Akan, which I'm very conversant with, in the past, they would build round houses. Okay, so the question is, why were they building round houses and not, for example, square houses? You see, and it's very simple because in the Akan cosmogony, when you are from the womb, is believed.
What is cosmogony?
Cosmogony is like the belief system, the world view.
Okay.
The way the Akan view the world.
Okay.
Right. So if you look at the Akan notion of the womb, is believed to be round. So when a child is in the womb, the child moves within that spherical position. So when a child is born, the house the child must stay in must also take that shape. So that there's a kind of continuity in terms of from the womb to the real world. So that was one of the reasons Akan would do that.
Okay.
So basically, what we do is always the underlying factors in terms of what we do are based on belief systems. Now, if you look at the world of science, we understand the world from basically, or we gain convictions about the world and things that happen within the universe from three perspectives. And I'm going to use Isaiah Berlin. Now, Isaiah Berlin was a philosopher and an intellectual historian. And he argues that if you want to, we derive conviction, right? We derive conviction from three main sources. So the first is conviction based on empirical evidence.
Okay.
What you can use the senses to judge or to make sense of. That's why we say senses. So you say it's sensible.
Okay.
Right? Which means that you can sense. You are able to know by sensing it using your senses.
Sense organs.
Right? Then we have things that you can't simply use the senses, but you can make deductive analogy or deductive reasoning. Okay? So for example, you can think what we call syllogism in philosophy or in logic, where you make a deduction. So, for example, Kofi, all Ghanaians are hardworking people. Kofi is a Ghanaian, therefore Kofi is hardworking. Now, that is a deductive kind of thinking, right? So, if you follow deductive reasoning, you are able to arrive at a conviction that based on, the kind of analysis you are doing, you can say, okay, it is true, or I'm convinced by that.
Okay.
So, for example, mathematics. I know you are a science student or you're a scientist. So that's how mathematics works. It's highly logical. So it follows a logical, tradition. Now, the third is a kind of conviction that empirical observation and deductive reasoning cannot help us to gain or to attain. So that is the realm of the metaphysics. Okay. Now, in every culture, you can look at the people's culture from two angles. What we call material culture and then immaterial culture. Again, we are looking at what is empirical and what is not empirical. Now, material culture are things that, again, we can see. The buildings, the cars. Okay? The immaterial culture are the things we can see, but which are also real or which inform what we see. So, for example, our values. Nobody has seen respect. I don't think anybody will tell me he has seen respect. Now, respect is seen when it is expressed in action.
Okay.
So what? You
So
see,
it's something you can feel.
Exactly.
Intangible.
Yes, because when it is expressed.
Okay.
Because when I tell you he's generous, how do you know? Because generosity is abstract. You know somebody is generous when it is expressed in action.
Okay.
So that's how we have to look at science and religion. So science is a realm of belief systems. And then the translation of the belief systems into practice gives birth to science. Because science is based on empirical, observation. Okay, and the sense you make out of the empirical world are informed by what Karl Marx would call the realm of the superstructure.
Okay.
Right, the realm of ideas. Because if I see this book, my judgment of this book will be informed by my ideas, my belief systems. One day we'll look at certain basic things. For example, why would the English want to drive to the left and Americans would drive to the right? Why? There's a belief to it. Okay, and these beliefs are the things that shape the kind of science we do. Now, for example, today we are talking about artificial intelligence. One of the challenges scientists who are into AIs, artificial intelligence, have to deal with is the question of morality. So if you have driverless cars, and a driverless car is to choose between hitting an older person and a younger person, what should be the choice of the driverless car or the AI car? Okay, so even in the realm of science, we still need a realm of ideas. And so from that perspective, there's no conflict between science and religion. Now, one scholar, John Lennox, a professor of mathematics at the University of Oxford, has a better way of expressing it. So he says that, assuming he slept, knowing that he had 5 pounds, and then woke up and realized that he had 7 pounds, there's a combination of religion and science there. And how does he explain? He explains it this way. Science helps you to know that when you were sleeping, you had 5 pounds. But science can't explain why the money had increased to 7. So that's why you say, okay, could it be a miracle? Well, it didn't work. You didn't go anywhere. Nobody entered your room. But the money has increased. So at that point, common sense will not help you to answer that question. Common sense will help you to know that there has been an increment of your money.
But not the how.
But not exactly. Okay? So, in terms of why the increment, then you want to know what might have happened, who intervened. Is it material? Obviously, it's not material. Okay? So, what I'm trying to say is that the two reinforce each other. So, science reinforces religion, and religion reinforces science. That's why Albert Einstein was right when he said, religion without science is blind, and science without religion is lame. So you see, there's that kind of intertwining relationship which I keep saying. The realm of the metaphysics is not the realm of science. Scientists cannot experiment the spirit world.
So
Yeah.
it is believed that eventually science will bury religion. You know, when you talk about Christians and atheists, and especially atheists in science, they look at Christianity as something or a set of beliefs that can be buried easily with science eventually. What do you think about it? Do you think AI and all those things
I think
solving the issue of concerning creation and all that? They are trying to use science to demystify everything. What do you think about it? Do you think science can eventually bury religion?
Honestly, you see, this was one of the physician of the 1960s. Okay, when many scholars thought that as societies modernize, as societies make advances in science and technology, religion will be buried. Okay, so they said religion will be redundant. So people like Harvey Kors, Peter Berger, I mean, they were the champions at that time. But there's a longer history to that. In fact, during the Enlightenment, the French philosophes, right, of the 18th, 19th century, they were very enthusiastic that religion would eventually fizzle out because science and technology would advance. But incidentally, the 1970s saw the upsurge of religion in world history. In our contemporary history, the 9/11, right, marked a momentous moment in the resurgence of religion. So, religion would never fizzle out. Because if you say religion fizzles out, then even you are saying that through experimental science, we can make sense of the universe, which is impossible. Science has a limit. That's why I said that science would explain what is sensible. What is insensible, right? What we cannot sense, science cannot go into that area.
So,
for example,
you're saying that science cannot deal with the abstracts.
It doesn't, because you see, the philosophy of science or the philosophical foundation of science is such that what we are dealing with should be experimentable. Okay, can you experiment, for example, the mind in the laboratory?
Like, how do you mean?
The mind. You see, you know you have a mind, isn't it? But I can't experiment it.
Okay.
Exactly. You know, I can only know your mind when it is put into action. When you express your mind in action, and you see, so your thought I will know your thought by your action.
So
yes.
in examining the mind,
yes,
you know, we have psychologists and psychology
yes.
science, right?
Yes.
Don't you think that is a form of experiment?
No, you see, so even in the room now, let's take. I'm happy you've brought psychology. Let's take Sigmund Freud. Okay, who did what we call who is the father of psychoanalysis. Okay, now he said that in terms of even the way we think, in terms of the way we think, we are never free. So our thinking is so he created the. I mean, let me make it simple for people. So the ego and the superego. I'm very sure most people might have heard that in social studies in Ghana. So you see, Sigmund Freud eventually says that there are certain things that inform our decisions and our actions which we have no control over.
Okay.
I mean, that's the base of his argument. Like erotic feeling. So when he said religious people are mad or they suffer from mental neurosis, what he was in effect saying is that they suppress what is not supposed to be suppressed. So what is eventually means that our reasoning capacity is limited, so we don't control it eventually. If you take Karl Marx also said the same thing, that in terms of the superstructure or the realm of the superstructure, is informed deeply by our environment. It's our environment that shape the kind of thinking we do. So the way I speak is shaped by my environment. What I know, epistemology, you see, my knowledge is shaped by my environment. Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection is something, according to him, that was accidental. It wasn't planned. Okay, so eventually what it means, of course, I know scientists are now doing a kind of a controlled evolution, but in terms of the Big Bang, because for a very long time, most scientists never believed that there was a beginning. They think the universe is eternal. Okay, until now people are beginning to say, no, it is not eternal, but there was a beginning. But here is where religion comes in. If there was a beginning, then there should be a cause.
Okay, there will be a cause.
Of course. And that's also true that because anything that has a beginning has an end. So I put it this way. anything that did not always exist but came into existence will also cease to exist at a point. But it didn't always exist. Now the second premise, logical deduction from that debate is that anything that has a beginning must have a cause. You see, so if this book began, then it has a cause. Look at it this way. If you see this book, will you think it just dropped from the space? No, because it's structured. There is a kind of teleology, right? There's teleological kind of design. There's you can make sense of it, and something that you can make sense of it, they don't emerge out of insensible.
Wait, so okay, let's take this.
Yeah.
Religion, right?
Yes.
Do you think that religion is actually rationally based?
Yeah. Okay. So again, we must look at the limit of rationality, the limit of reasoning. Now there was a Greek philosopher, Protagoras, who said that man is the measure of all things. In effect, he's saying human reason, right, is a canon against which we can make sense of everything in the world. But as I keep saying, reasoning has a limit. So you can only make sense of what is sensible to you. What is not sensible to you, but which is also real, requires belief and faith. So someone said, where science ends, faith swims through. Okay? So you can just say, well, in fact, science doesn't have answer to everything. Science does not answer questions of morality. So somebody would get there, you try the experimentation, and still you hate the end. So how then do you explain what is not sensible? I'm using the word sensible and insensible in a very nuanced way to say that when I say this is sensible, it means that it is sensible because you can sense it. Now if it is insensible, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You see, it shows your limit. It defines your finity. You see, it defines that you are finite. You see, because if it is not sensible to you, it means that it is beyond you. That is why we need humility.
Okay.
To be able to admit that beyond what is seen, there's a reality. Now, but as to whether people will accept it, it's a matter of choice. Somebody can choose to say that, well, I feel there should be something, but I don't want to believe it. Okay, so it is purely a matter of choice. Because there are realities. So metaphysics deal with the question, beyond reality, is there existence? Beyond what is sensible, beyond what we can sense, is there a reality? Now, as to whether you transgress or you go beyond the sensibilities to the realm of insensibility, is a matter of choice. That's where faith comes in. So somebody will humble and say, look, I don't know it all. I think I can make sense of it. But possibly there's something beyond what I can make sense of. And then remember that our sensibility itself defines the limitation of our humanity. So that's how I want to. Maybe we can continue.
Yeah, I think this is interesting. Yeah. We don't have much time, but let's leave our audience with this.
Yeah.
There is a question that is running through the media and all that, and I think school children have been playing with this. It's really a very a critical question. That the hen and the egg, which comes first?
That's not a question. I saw a problem question.
Yeah. So this is what people have been thinking about.
Yeah.
Can you just touch on it?
It's simple. You see, it is a problem for evolution people. If you are evolutionist, then quickly you battle with which one came first. But if you believe in creation, there's not a challenge at all. Of course, there was a hen out of it, because the Bible says that every creature would reproduce itself. So there must be the capacity to reproduce itself within every creature. So within every creature is embedded the power of reproductivity. Okay, so the hen must have existed first for something to emerge. So the hen was imbued with the power of reproducibility.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank
you so much for listening. If you have anything, please comment, or you can put your questions on the video.